What really impacted me to come join the town of Wake Forest was just customer service, doing the same thing I was doing in my prior life. My prior life was restaurant business and working with customers, so it was a natural transition to still working with customers and people, but just not with food, with power.
Hi, I'm Bill Crabtree. Welcome to Wake Forest Perspectives. We're going to spend the next several minutes with one of my best friends in the town of Wake Forest, Drew Brown.
Hey, Bill.
Drew, thanks for being here.
No problem. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's hard to believe we have known each other now for about 16 years, I think. You came to work for the town of Wake Forest, I think in 2004?
2003.
2003, and then I came in June of 2005, and so we've been pretty tight ever since then.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit, Drew, take me back to 2003, and what interested you in coming to work for the town of Wake Forest?
Well, the funny story about that is you weren't an employee at the time,
right?
But they pulled you in on my interview panel because of the relationship that we had with Electricities. Mm-hmm. And once I got hired, what really impacted me to come join the town of Wake Forest was just customer service, doing the same thing I was doing in my prior life. My prior life was restaurant business and working with customers, so it was a natural transition to still working with customers and people, but just not with food, with power.
I've had this conversation several times, but I think now is another time to talk about it, a good time to talk about it. How did being in the restaurant management business prepare you for working as a customer service manager for the town of Wake Forest? I think it's fascinating how it's so related.
Well, what I always say is that when I was in the restaurant business, I had to respond to a customer immediately, right at that moment when I'm walking by their table. Whereas when the Wake Forest Power business, I get a phone call, an email. I have time to gather my thoughts and, put something together to give them the information that they need. But it's relatable because people just need help, and they just want you to, listen to them and then give them some type of resolution to their problem.
Think about the last 16 years, not only how your role has evolved, but the different programs that have been introduced under your watch. I think about the HOPE program, for example. And then recently we had the Northern Community Food Security Team. Take me through your career in Wake Forest. Talk about some of the highlights, some of the things that you're proudest of.
Okay. Well, when I started, we were a water provider as well as we billed for sanitation and electric. Within the first few years, we lost water billing we merged with the city of Raleigh, and then we included sanitation billing into the property taxes. So those were two big components that we no longer had to bill. Well, then we introduced, like you said, the HOPE program, which is helping others by providing electricity. And it was an initiative led to us by the board wanting to do something for Wake Forest citizens. It's a neighbor helping neighbors program where we have a roundup program where you can round your bill up to the nearest dollar and the change goes to helping customers. You can do a donation monthly, or you can just add money to your bill. So that was one thing, and we've enjoyed that. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary of that, actually the 11th anniversary, July 5th. The other program that I'm pretty proud of is the prepay program. Mm-hmm. That's one of the most unique programs around. Since we're all electric, it's easier to do than it is for a lot of towns. We're completely, with the prepay program, the customer never has to walk into the building. We can take care of them remotely 100% of the time, whether it's billing, collecting, customer service, whatever it is, they don't have to come in at all. And they completely are in control of their account. They don't get into debt. They have the ability to make any type of payment they want, whether it's weekly, bi-monthly, monthly, annually if they want to. So that's been a pretty cool program. We just recently started the Northern Community Food Security Team, which is something that has taken me full circle, so to speak, because I had experience with food, but it was for people that was paying and that had the ability to attain food. But working with it this way, it's people that need assistance. So back in February of 2018, the board adopted the Capital Area Food Network's security plan. Mm-hmm. And what we did is, or what I chose to do is, put together a task force of people that know a lot more than me. I met with someone, Ross Yeager from the Northern Regional Center, Sidney Klein from Capital Area Food Network, and then George Shaw, one of our community advocates. And we put together a task force to kind of find out what the needs were for the citizens of Wake Forest and for people that had serious food concerns. And what we found out was that there were a lot of people already doing good stuff, but they weren't communicating. Everybody was working in their own silo. So this kind of acted as a hub to be able to put those people together and use the town's resources with marketing, advertising, financial support. And what that turned into was when COVID hit. March 17th is when they officially started Wake County Public Schools serving lunch. They were serving lunch for the week, but they had nothing going on for the weekend. So I reached out to the partners, Backpack Buddies, Tri-Area Ministries, Interfaith Food Shuttle, I don't want to forget anyone, Fresh Point Produce, and Bread of Life Ministries. And what we have done is every Friday we give out, we're like a food pantry, for lack of a better term. We're like a pop-up food pantry. We get all kinds of food together and we give that out every Friday. But what makes it so special was that we were able to do it immediately because we had those partnerships developed.
So it really turned out to be pretty fortuitous then for schools to shut down basically, and then people could still come to your drive up and pick up meals for the weekend,
Yes.
right? And so the fact that you guys already had the coordinated effort in place, it made it possible to sustain during the COVID crisis.
Absolutely.
Is that pretty much the way it happened?
The relationships just made it seamless. We just made a few phone calls, a couple of emails. Next thing you know, we had a concerted effort to have food there on Fridays for the drive-through. And it's pretty robust. We've given out milk, cheese, butter, chicken, eggs, all kinds of fresh produce, fruits and veggies. It's been well received.
Drew, to that point, if someone's watching and they want to help contribute to the cause or help volunteer in some way, what's the best way they can do that?
The best way is to reach out to me on my email, abrown@wakeforestnc.gov, or give me a call, 919-435-9466, and I can let them know the best way to help based on what their need is.
Okay.
We have tried to limit the actual physical help due to COVID
Sure.
concerns. We have a group of 5 or 6 people that work together to do the drive-through, but we are receiving donations and utilizing those.
Drew, you talked about COVID obviously and its impact on the food security mission. How has COVID impacted the customer service division for the town of Wake Forest? Take me through when you first realized that COVID was going to have a serious impact on town operations and on your departments or divisions operations. Walk me through that.
Well, I will say the town was very proactive in regards to understanding that there was going to be some hardships for customers because we suspended operations on late payments and disconnections before the executive order. So that was good. What we have done, we've tried to rotate our schedules so that we don't have our employees exposed as much. But the main thing we're trying to drive home is that everything you need to be done can be done either online, via the Dropbox. There are very, very few things that just can't be done that you have to come in person. Obviously, if you want to pay cash, you got to pay in person. But most other things we can handle over the phone or via an email.
Okay. And I think that's interesting that that was one of the things that we really emphasized when Town Hall was closed for that period. You've got all these different utility bill payment options. You've got, like you say, the drive-up Dropbox. So there are a lot of ways if you need to talk to somebody, you can call or you can use the contact form online. So there are a number of ways to keep in touch. Drew, talk a little bit, if you would. You talked about Prepaid Power, you've talked about Hope, you've talked about some things that you've worked on over the last 16 years. Looking forward, what are some things that are coming up or what are some things you're working on right now?
Well, a couple of big things. The first one is the Key Accounts program. And key accounts are not necessarily just your higher volume users. They're customers that are important to the town, which most of our businesses are, but you have some that have bigger needs than others, and we want to make sure that we meet those needs. So that is a program that we're working on. We're conducting a rate study. And the rate study is something that's going to be beneficial to the town and to the employees over the next few years. And the most important thing that I think we're doing right now is we're changing our payment provider to a company called Paymentus. And Paymentus is known for having more payment options than a lot of the competitors. And it's enabling us to streamline all of our payments into one payment provider. We'll soon have text to pay. We'll soon have PDF pay, PayPal pay. So there's a lot of even more convenient options to pay your bill.
Drew, and I think here's a good opportunity to mention, so everything you were just talking about, those services will be available to Wake Forest Power customers, because what a lot of people don't realize is we have 3 electric service territories in Wake Forest. You've got Duke Progress, you've got Wake Electric, and then you've got Wake Forest Power.
Right, and exactly, they're only going to be available to Wake Forest Power customers, which represents about 6,700 customers in the Wake Forest area. Wake Forest Power is a public power provider, and we pride ourselves on being able to take care of our customers quickly, because most of our employees live locally, and if there is an outage, we can get your lights turned back on quicker. There are many stories about how neighbors will be on the same street, because there are obviously territorial lines between Wake Electric and Duke Energy. But if they're next door neighbors to Wake Forest Power customers, the Wake Forest Power customer will be cut on a lot quicker.
Right.
And then they want to call us and figure out how they can change over. But unfortunately, we don't have, with the territorial agreements, we don't do that.
Drew, and to that point, that's a good segue, but it is important because of the governor's executive order. I think it ended July 29th, and now, so if you're a Wake Forest Power customer and you have a past due balance, you've got 6 months, I believe, to get that bill paid. Can you talk a little bit about that and what your message is to those customers right now?
The governor's order allows 6 months to pay your past due balance. Now, you do still have to pay your current balance at this point, but anything from March the 17th through July 29th, you have 6 months to pay that, but you need to contact us and make a payment arrangement. That's both for prepaid power and postpaid power. But if you contact us, we'll put you on a payment plan, and you have 6 months to pay that off with no penalties and no fear of any type of disconnection for that balance. But you do need to remain current on your current balance.
Okay. Drew, we like to bring every program to an end by asking each guest the same question. So I'm going to ask you to complete this sentence. If not for Wake Forest, what? That's
a great question. And, this has been the last almost 16 years of my life.
Sure.
So I've seen this small town grow to I don't want to say thriving metropolis, but to the big small town that it is. So if not for Wake Forest, I would not have had the ability to provide for my family, to have the flexibility to spend time with my family, and to work close to home.
Fantastic. Drew, thanks for being with us.
No problem.
And thanks for being with us on Wake Forest Perspectives. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.